But Mr. Fortuyn, it is really an honor for me to be here. And I'm here because the higher education environment is for me a passion. And scholarship is for me a passion. I share it with another scholar with a surname Amsler, who once wrote, so we share the same love for the same things, to engage practically in the awkward, messy, joyful and risky work of thinking and acting differently in seemingly frozen states of domination. So in my presentation, I'm going to take you through a few thoughts. The one, risk and risk management, of whom most of you are experts on. What I would say, my view on the primary reason for existence of higher education, the caring human spirit, an assessment of the risk of a smothered, caring human spirit. Now, I'm an academic or a researcher, so I'm going to read most of my paper. So I'm reading a paper, and so you must bear with me with that. Risk management can either enhance, protect, or endanger higher education institutions in South Africa. A crucial determining factor is how the core risks for these institutions are identified and mitigated. And I think that is what we've discussed for the last day and a half. My presentation argues that higher education institutions are expected to be the dominant contributors to new knowledge, new applications for existing knowledge, and opportunities for social mobility, according to the white paper for post-school education and training in South Africa. The core risk to higher education institutions is the loss of what can be regarded as the necessary condition for their survival and flourishing, namely the presence of a human spirit. And that is actually my thesis. We've heard now some of the other speakers gave attention to some of the other aspects, like the funding, etc. But I want to focus on this specific aspect. Higher education institutions worldwide, but also in South Africa, have not escaped. I think this microphone is not picking me up all the time. Higher education worldwide, but also in South Africa, have not escaped the obligation to comply with the regulatory requirements pertaining to enterprise risk management. With regard to risk management in higher education, one scholar, and in my research I've attended to various of them, but one scholar, Tufano, said something very important from my point of view. He said, managing risk in higher education. He argues that these institutions' risk management framework should be aligned to their reason for existence. And in a sense, that is also what Dr. Dion Rousseau said yesterday evening. That you must always keep in mind what's your core business? Why are you here? And that is actually the core of my presentation also. This implies that risk management should be mission-centered, strategic, and broad enough to capture those issues that are of fundamental importance to the ongoing success and mission of that institution. Considering their reasons for existence and the related embedded risk, Tufano raises the question whether higher education institutions' risk management frameworks are not too timid regarding risks, being inclined to overregulation in an effort to mitigate or prevent risk. These institutions are therefore potentially exposed to the smothering of the human spirit, embodied by the decline in academics, critical, investigative, and risk-taking inclination. The human spirit seems to be vital for the uncertain and the unknown, which characterizes higher education institutions' expected contribution to new knowledge applications, and social mobility. The fundamental reason for existence of universities thus seems to be embedded in their role as sites and agents for the discovery, understanding, and transmission of both existing and new knowledge. Now, my presentation aims at contributing to the existing discourses on both risk management and higher education by reflecting on the role, on the core risk to higher education institutions, namely not fulfilling our reason for existence. As indicated in the introduction, the discourse and related concepts on risk and risk management are not new. In fact, various scholars have contributed to this enduring discourse during the past 20 years. The work of Beck and on the Risk Society can be regarded as seminal in this discourse. Equally significant is the work by Adams and Adam, two different people, and Adam and van Loon, and then Tufano. The latter has not only highlighted the politics and sub-politics of risk identification, but also the evolving of a particular mode of organization entailing a sense of institutional domination, as revealed by Adam and van Loon. Within the context of the argument developed in my paper, the concept risk thus referred to those uncertain future events that may influence higher education institutions' present strategies, plans, and actions for achieving their primary reason for existence. Now, as a public administration scholar, I've traced South Africa's higher education institutions' reason for existence by reading a collection of official documents on higher education recently published by various institutions. These documents include the White Paper for Post-School Education and Training, the South African Higher Education in the 20th Year of Democracy, a proposal for undergraduate curriculum of South Africa, and also the National Development Plan. The reading of the selected four texts revealed an agreement that the primary reason for existence of higher education institutions consists of three-dimensional engagement with knowledge, namely the what, the how, and the why. The emphasis of the what dimension is on new knowledge, new applications of existing knowledge, and transformed theories of knowledge. The how dimension relates to distinct abilities of academic staff members, their ways of engaging with the knowledge, such as critical and independent thinking, as well as ethical and transparent scholarship. And you can hear all these concepts relate to other dimensions also of risk when we look at a comprehensive risk assessment model. The wide dimension of engagement may result in developing, changing and mobilizing society at large through scholarly informed learning, teaching and engagement. It is evident from these documents that it is officially expected from South African higher education institutions as part of the diverse spectrum of learning or providers to take sole responsibility for advanced thinking, teaching and learning through a commitment to advanced learning. These expectations not only imply the development, progress and improvement of knowledge, but also a focus on the future, whether known or hypothetical. For the purpose of a second premise for this evolving argument, I consequently propose that higher education institutions' primary reason for existence is to be concerned with the new and the unknown, and by implication to have a critical curiosity about an uncertain future. Following this premise about the reason for existence of higher education institutions, one may ask whether achieving these attributes is possible without the involvement of not only human beings, but also specifically the human spirit. By using the concept necessary condition, I follow the standard definition of this concept by proposing that a caring human spirit is a prerequisite for higher education institutions to fulfill their reason for existing. Prerequisite. We can't exist without this part. When using the concept spirit as a qualifier for the concept human, I attach the same meaning to it as De Beer when he refers to spirit as organizing, fundamental and forceful principle that guides and inspires humans towards many great achievements. A principle responsible for organizing all special attributes and qualities of humans, such as science, art, and religion. This is characterized, and this is not words that we usually use in scientific environment, but this is characterized by human attitudes of friendship, love, and care. It is evident that the South African government regards adequately qualified academics as a necessary condition for higher education institutions to contribute to and perhaps to care for new knowledge and knowledge applications, to encounter the unknown and to confront the undetermined future critically. The attribute of being adequately qualified for many great achievements, as De Beer called it, only partially comprises the full meaning of spirit within this context. When Stiegler uses the concept care, he uses it to refer to the human involvement with the unknown and the future as understanding and care. He furthermore refers to education as an entirely other form of care, a meta-care. And take care of the concept care, because care also relates to caring for the detail, say, of your reports, or to caring for the detail of the way you apply your mind, even in managerial meetings. So care is, I believe, a fundamental requirement for what we are doing here. The official documents emphasizes their emphasis on the necessity of adequately qualified academics. Thus implies an emphasis on caring as contextualized by Stiegler's view that the truly educated learn to take care of themselves and thus others in taking care of knowledge they have given, knowledge by which they can and must trust to share with the world. And through that, we are actually taking care of the world. The implications of the caring human spirit are evident from references to essential issues such as social mobility, developing of thinking citizens functioning effectively, creatively, and ethically as part of a democratic society, a responsiveness to the broader social and developmental objectives, a deepening reflection on contextual issues. When I use the concept human spirit, I thus refer to the characteristics of the adequately qualified caring community of human beings, which are seemingly indispensable for the survival of higher education. The question one may ask, and you can see how my bullets look here, and I struggle at when I did it on my MacBook at home, it works, and when I open it again, it looks like this. So if there's an IT specialist, a PowerPoint specialist that can assist me, I'll really appreciate it. Because I really cared how my presentation looked, and it doesn't look very good for me. So the question one may ask is whether this caring human spirit is at risk of being smothered or even of disappearance from the South African higher education sector. Furthermore, one may ask whether this risk is known, measurable, and quantifiable, or whether it exists within, as Dupay call it, the realm of uncertainty, and consequently, whether it is non-quantifiable and hypothetical. A reflection on the caring human spirit at risk will not be complete without considering the effect that the creeping culture of managerialism in higher education institutions has on academics. For the purpose of this presentation, I've selected only a few contributions to the rich and enduring discourse on managerialism and its subsequent legacy of conformance. You must conform. All three of them relate to some way or other to the caring attribute of the human spirit. Weinberg and Graham Smith, now Weinberg, you'll perhaps know him, is one of our A-rated researchers, already retired but still active, involved in the messy business of scholarship at UNISA. He's the author of the one article. They argue that the worldwide corporatization of universities has resulted in the demise of collegiality, the scholarly community mentioned by De Beer, a trend undermining the communitarian and independent spirit foundational to the university. It thus seems that the growing pressure on academic staff members to execute institutional operational plans and to meet quantifiable profitability targets constitutes a decrease in their ability to care for anything except complying with the institutional operational targets. In Afrikaans would say, ek is nou moedswillig. But I say this with the purpose to wake you up and to let you think. This observation is supported by also a colleague of mine, Anne-Marie Davis, with Marie Jansen van Rensburg and Piet Venter. The other two are at the SBL. And they published an article in which they said the following. I must just get my place here. They did some research on the impact of managerialism on the strategy work of university middle managers. Their focus area is strategy as practice. And they said the following. They said that managerialism has resulted in a tyranny of bureaucracy, which translates into disempowered middle managers, a culture of conformance, control at the cost of strategy. It is specifically the over-articulation of the strategy to optimize the number of research outputs points for an higher education institution that concerns another author with the surname Roux. Related to the research by Davis and colleagues is research regarding burnout of academic staff in South African higher education institutions by Rothman and Barkhuizen. This study has shown that faculty burnout is a phenomenon of growing proportions, especially amongst younger academics. And younger is between 20 and 29. This may be the result of redirected and compliance-driven, corporately managed care for maximizing operational institutional targets, such as increased student throughput and higher numbers of accredited research output. The emphasis on performance evidently contributes to the demise of the human spirit in higher education. The effect of the creeping culture of managerialism, there's another example. I was involved in a research project earlier this year within this institution. And that project revealed the following, and it was amongst senior people in this institution. An emphasis on compliance at all costs. That was their lived experience. Satisfying counsel regardless. Culture of fear for making mistakes and being blamed. A lack of meaningful engagement. Environmental distrust. So, colleagues, the growing pressure on academic staff members to execute institutional operational plans and to meet quantifiable profitability targets constitute a decrease in their ability to care for anything except complying with the institutional operational plans. If one refers only to these contributions, there seems not only to be support for the proposition that a caring human spirit is a prerequisite for our education institutions to fulfill their mission, but a reasonable concern about the indication that the caring human spirit is under siege. A state of being under siege does not imply a total absence of a caring human spirit in higher education institutions, but does suggest the presence of an actual, opposite to a hypothetical, threat to the enduring presence of such a spirit. As a caring human spirit is evidently a necessary condition for the survival of higher education institutions. It is indeed a major risk to be properly considered, assessed and mitigated by the higher education sector. Now, most of you will know this heat map. So I thought I must just show that I also know the heat map, and I'm going to apply the heat map because seriously we have to consider whether this is really a risk to be concerned of. I'm not going to explain to you what all the variables mean. I think you can explain it better to me. But let us take it from the start. And I'm just going to look at possibilities. And let us start here with a consequence rating. The proposition is then, a caring human spirit is a necessary condition for higher education to fulfill their reason for existing. So, what is the consequence? The consequence, if we say it is very high, now let us see, Denver, you must now assist me. The consequence is, what will happen if it is true? So, in a sense, I've told you now, it is true. There are evidence for that. So, if it is true that then we say a complete absence of an independent, communitarian, caring human spirit leading to the closure of the university as currently constituted. So if there's a complete absence in our institution of that, do you agree with me? Then we can close the university. Denver and his team can continue with risk management, and the other people with finance, and the other people with HR, etc. But then actually many of us can still update the tutorial letters and make sure that the examination papers are there. But actually, so we can still be busy, but if that caring spirit, that human spirit, that critical mind is absent, we can close the university. But say it is the high factor is a constantly reduced independent communitarian caring human spirit leading to a prolonged negative effect on the university's ability to fulfill its reason for existing. So one must now think, I'm still here, so we can't, it is not very high. So it must be at least high, am I right? So there's not a total absence of a caring human spirit here. So if it is then high, it tells us we must take care of this risk because it is there's a danger for us, and we have to introduce some mitigating measures to ensure that we safeguard the existence of the university, because this is actually what it is all about. We want to ensure that this university continues. But say it is a moderate, then it is say inadequately qualified academics with restricted abilities for contributing to new knowledge, in encountering the unknown and critical, confronting the undetermined future. So it relates actually to our admission requirements of staff members. But we can possibly manage these consequences under normal operating conditions. So if we're aware of that, we can ensure that we appoint the appropriate people, or we develop our staff, existing staff, to higher levels. And that's why we have this master's and doctoral support programs, because we believe a doctorate equip you with that critical mindset to make new contributions. And then if it is low, then we all know that it is adequately qualified young academic staff members who lack the spirit perhaps of guiding the inspiring human towards many great achievements. So it's a person with all the papers, but now we have to mentor that person to get that new staff member, to give him the passion and the critical mindset, etc. But this is a risk if we do not do it. But if we do our work, we can say we can manage that. This is our opportunity. So for older people like I am, this is our fun and our passion and our opportunity to mentor young staff members to become, to get that critical human spirit that this institution needs. So the consequence of this is there's evidence, unfortunately, of a constantly reduced independence and thought and collegiality, a simultaneously increased culture of conformance and control, and symptoms of burnout. So what I'm saying here is there's evidence of that, and we have to take care of that. We have to treat it seriously. The consequence rating of this, the risk of a smothered caring human spirit, is high or very high. That's my assessment, and I learned from my colleagues who deal with risk management that risk management is actually a qualitative thing. So eventually you want to have to make a call, and that was my call, because there are no statistics to measure it. So then the likelihood. What is the likelihood? Very high. There's a very high likelihood of risk expected to occur in most circumstances. They are often difficult to control due to external influences. And our research has shown that at this stage, there's evidence of a very high occurrence of at least the presence of a smothered human spirit in higher education in general. Not only at UNISA, not only in South Africa, but actually worldwide. There's international literature on this. If it is high, there's a high likelihood of risk with an expected frequency determined from past experiences. Now we have it with a potential influence to the future, and risk have a more than even chance of occurring. My call was it is at least high, but probably on its way to very high. So the other two, I've skipped them because I thought the other two categories didn't apply here based on the research that I've done. But there's then evidence of a trend of a growing culture of managerialism. And there you can see the literature that you can consult, which has an effect on a caring human spirit in higher education institutions. Adequate reasons to suspect that the likelihood of a caring human spirit being smothered or in danger of disappearance in higher education institution might be high or very high. So, on the risk heat map, the risk shown to be high to very high. This is my call. I know you're using sometimes all those electronic mechanisms to do a risk assessment. It would be actually very interesting how convincing I was if all of you had that. But who of you believe me? Who of you think I have a point here? Nobody. Okay, so now I have a very strong self-esteem, so it will really not hurt me. I'm taking care of myself. But colleagues, let us conclude. The thesis was, caring human spirit, a caring human spirit is a necessary condition for higher education institutions to fulfill their reason for existence. And our reason for existence, we established, is not just the operational thing of letting this institution run. It's the core, the heart of our business. The implication and absence of a caring human spirit in higher education institutions is supposed to be regarded as an actual risk for these institutions. And if I say this, I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm really concerned about this. I think it's an actual risk at this stage, and we have to take seriously care of this risk. The findings, the likelihood and consequence of a smothered or absent human spirit in higher education is not only real, but indeed high to very high. The risk of a smothered caring human spirit for higher education may be detrimental for the future of these institutions. And I just wanted to ask the question. You know that story of the naked, what is Keizerskull, what's in English? The emperor was naked. I always ask the question, what will happen if the people outside one day realize the emperor is naked? So the question then, that the implication of this is, what is the effect of a smothering human spirit on the content of our tuition material, on the way we teach, how we treat our students, but also on the relevance and the quality of our research? What are we just going through the motions, or is the caring human spirit visible in what we're doing? If it is not visible, we can be close and we can just become a normal data sharing institution like many others. But we have to, there must be something different. Is it you who referred to branding? Yeah, sorry, I must practice to pronounce your name. So, but branding. So that is what I liked about what you said about branding is, what is the branding? And our branding must be different from all the other knowledge providers outside. So how this risk is managed and mitigated will determine whether higher education in general, but this institution that we all love, are protected or not be in danger. So colleagues, thank you for bearing with me. That's the end of my story, so thank you. So,